Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into how mass media acts as the invisible architect of our society. Think about the news you scrolled through this morning, right? How did it shape your mood, or maybe even your opinions for the day? We're going to move from universal communication theories straight down into the actual, tangible realities of the Kenyan media landscape. It's an absolutely fascinating journey, and it really reveals the hidden structures shaping our daily lives, our politics, and our culture. To kick things off, I want you to consider this really powerful metaphor from researcher Murphy back in 1977. He basically stated that mass media is the oil, the glue, and the dynamite of our society. It's a wild thought, right? As oil, media keeps the world running smoothly by helping us adjust to reality. As glue, well, it maintains social cohesion, gives us all a shared reality to talk about. But as dynamite, in the wrong hands, it can literally rip society apart through targeted propaganda. It's a heavy concept, and one we'll be exploring deeply today.
Okay, let's map out our structure for today. We've got 5 key areas on the agenda: the architecture of communication, the oil, glue, and dynamite concept, theories of the press, the Kenyan media landscape, and finally, press freedom and ethics.
Kicking off with Section 1, the architecture of communication, the fundamental building blocks. We begin by looking at the traditional linear model, which breaks down communication into a very rigid one-way street. It goes straight from a sender who encodes a message through a channel directly to a receiver who decodes it. While it's foundational, it kind of suggests the sender holds all the power here, with absolutely zero room for the receiver to reply.
But let's be real, human interaction is rarely that simple. Contrast that basic idea with the transactional model. In this setup, we aren't just passive listeners. We're simultaneously acting as senders and receivers in a continuous and honestly kind of messy negotiation of meaning. This includes constant feedback and what we call noise, which is literally anything that interferes with the message. We're constantly interacting and shaping the meaning together on the fly. Moving on to Section 2, oil, glue, and dynamite, understanding the mass media.
Think about the massive leap we've taken in human history here. We shifted all the way from traditional African communication, where town criers, smoke signals, and hornmen shared incredibly vital but highly localized news, to modern mass media. Today we're using sophisticated tools like TV, radio, and the internet to transmit messages to millions of completely anonymous people instantly across vast distances. It is a breathtaking technological evolution.
But mass media does way more than just share messages. It actively architects our society by fulfilling some absolutely crucial functions. Sure, it informs, educates, and provides entertainment when we need an escape, but pay close attention to the heavier roles here. Surveillance keeps a watchdog eye on the government. Status conferral bestows prestige, literally making instant celebrities out of everyday people. And perhaps most importantly, agenda setting. The media doesn't just tell us what to think, it influences exactly what we think about, completely setting the stage for who truly holds the power in society. All right, Section 3, theories of the press. How society shapes the media.
You see, media doesn't just operate in a vacuum. It completely mirrors the political soul of its society. Under authoritarian and Soviet communist systems, media is totally subordinated to state power or Marxist ideology. It restricts who can even own a printing press or a network. On the flip side, the libertarian theory demands a completely free marketplace of ideas just to keep the government in check. Meanwhile, modern democracies lean heavily on this social responsibility theory. Allowing private ownership, sure, but demanding the media act with a serious moral duty to the public interest.
And it's not just about the state controlling things. As individuals, we all experience media dependency theory. In our industrialized society, we rely heavily on the media just to understand the social world around us. And this dependency has real, tangible consequences. It can alter our beliefs, it can create desensitization to violence, and it even dictates our actions, like, say, prompting us to wash our hands during a health crisis or motivating us to go out and vote. To put that into perspective, studies actually show that during times of social upheaval, we often rely more on the media than we do on our own neighbors. Crazy, right?
Which brings us to Section 4, the Kenyan media landscape from theory to reality.
Let's take all these macro theories and apply them to a very tangible reality. The evolution of the Kenyan press is this deeply dramatic story of struggle and liberation. During the colonial era, from the 1800s to 1949, missionaries built the press primarily to spread the gospel. But then, by the 50s and 60s, a fierce indigenous press sprang up to fight colonial injustice. Post-independence brought a heavy shift toward regional politics and strict government control, well, until a momentous shift around the year 2000 finally ushered in the rapid growth of private broadcasting.
That turning point in 2002 was a real game changer. For decades, Kenya had experienced direct government control and a state monopoly on broadcast media through the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. But in 2002, private broadcasting stations were licensed for the very first time. This completely and utterly reshaped the nation's media ownership. It broke the monopoly and paved the way for the vibrant, super diverse array of private networks that define the Kenyan landscape today.
And our final section, Section 5, Press Freedom and Ethics, the Balancing Act.
Now, with great power and private ownership comes the ultimate need for accountability. While Article 34 of the Kenyan Constitution strongly guarantees freedom and independence of the media, it carefully draws a hard line. This freedom absolutely does not extend to propaganda for war, incitement to violence, or hate speech. It's a highly calculated boundary, designed specifically to prevent the dynamite of mass media from being used to rip society apart.
So, how do you navigate this complex landscape without heavy-handed government interference? Well, the Media Council of Kenya was established. This is a vital, self-regulatory body. Rather than the state dictating every single editorial move, this council promotes high professional standards. It actively protects media freedom, and it mediates disputes. It basically exists to ensure that the media actually fulfills its social responsibility. To maintain that delicate balance, Kenyan journalists follow a strict code of ethics. It really hits the nail on the head, proving that while the press must be free, it absolutely must remain morally grounded. Journalists have to ensure accuracy, maintain absolute independence from hidden agendas or bribes, protect children, guard their sources, and strictly avoid obscenity and hate speech. This is the moral compass of the entire profession, keeping the day-to-day reporting fair and honest. As we wrap up this explainer and consider this constant transactional loop between mass communication and our daily lives, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. If the media shapes society, acting as the oil, the glue, and the dynamite, and society, in turn, shapes the media through its laws, its culture, and its ethics, who is really in control? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the architecture of mass media. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you next time.